welcoming you back to the desk of Caddicarus. Join us as we partake into a new installment of Current Quickies.
Hello my duckies, and this time we'll be having a look at Life is Strange on PS4. Cue. This game is very good. I wouldn't say it was as good as everyone else was saying it was, but I still really bloody enjoyed it. I'm a very big fan of narrative games where your choices do matter, and in the case of this game, I've been meaning to play it for such a long time, and I finally got around to it when the special edition, fully episodic thing came out on PS4, so I was all over it the second it came out, and I finally got around to playing it. And what did I think of it? Oh, by the way, there shall be spoilers. Warning ya. Anyway, what did I think of it? Well,
Life is Strange is a strange game indeed, and honestly I went into this hoping to love it, and did I? Not really, but I still really damn liked it. It's been a while since I saw a story about someone who can manipulate time told in a more down-to-earth and realistically honest manner, and it's awesome to see that Life is Strange takes the subject matter of a coming-of-age story between two best friends in their late teens and puts every situation you'd imagine the characters to go through if time was literally their bread and butter and goes with them all to a brilliant and believable degree. This here is a story not only about time travel, but the effects and responsibility that comes with it to affect mental health within love lives, families, and friendships, and I won't spoil any of it here, but I will say it can pack a lot of emotional punch, has many twists and turns around the main plot that happens off screen to keep you guessing about where it's going, including a side plot about the world potentially ending and multiple realities clashing together for you to see exactly how serious messing with people's lives can go, almost like a demented Christmas carol, but with you being a part of it. And the way that the pleasant arts are with lots of deep, moody, saturated, and brooding calm colours matches with the themes of the story to a T and makes the aspects of the presentation really stand out. I must say that the texture work on some of the environments and especially some of the people is shockingly awful, and it really sucks you out at the moment. It can be very inconsistent actually. Gameplay is what you'd expect from a narrative adventure that forms around your choices. Playing almost like a 3D point-and-click adventure game, you walk around and basically do whatever you can in each area to get a better understanding of the plot, solve puzzles, learn the ins and outs of characters, who to trust, who to suspect, who to get into the good books with, and everything you do affects the future for how you're treated and how you can affect the future story events. It's awesome to report that your choices here do indeed matter for the most part at least, but to be honest I wish a little bit more emphasis was placed on the smaller details and character interactions that you can manipulate time with in order to change the events at your will, such as saving people from being splashed by cars or saving a bird from hitting a window. There's a lot of sweet ideas here and it makes you think about how much of time you should really be fucking around with, but ultimately it never adds to anything or goes anywhere. Apart from, like I said, the main story choices and how the plot can take drastically different shifts all depending on what you do, and how you treat particular characters of course. At a few points, and especially towards the end of the game, this idea is really stretched though, as it throws tons of choices at you for future events and other realities that actually in the grand scheme of things mean absolutely fucking nothing and only require you doing a linear set of tasks to get out of a sticky situation to go back into another reality, and the final episode does this an ungodly amount. Characters overall I'd say are very memorable and likeable or hateable whenever needs be, and especially like the realistic and awesome to read text conversations and the way that everyone's motivations are never 100% clear drives into the fact that you may be able to rewind time by a minute or so, but you still aren't the most powerful thing alive. Time and fate are things in this game that are huge themes, and once the end of the game happens to make you question if anything you did at all was worth for the benefit of you or the people around you, no matter what happens, it all ends in some way out of your control. And the ending I got in particular I found particularly poignant, touching, pretty damn deep, especially after the shit you experience, and not only some of the most emotional moments, but also trippiest moments I've ever seen in a video game once the mystery is out in the open and things turn to shit. It also helps that the time manipulation is indeed restricted and hurts the main character if she uses it too much in the story and the game itself. So even though puzzles are particularly easy and without any fail state, there are some choices you need to be extremely careful about making. And that's the cool thing about Life is Strange, the fact that you think being able to redo everything if you don't like it makes the game way too easy, but not only does that bump along replayability, but also lets you stop and think about every single thing that you do, and gives you the open option to change it at that particular moment by showing you the immediate effects of your choices, but giving you no idea of the long-term effects or how they affect other characters other than yourself. You have to remember that you can turn back time, but only by a particular amount. In that sense, it's even more clever and thought-provoking than skill-based quick-time events that react within the story depending on how well you do in them. But then at the same time, I guess they'd make sense in a game with no time travel in it, but for a game with time travel in it, yes, it works really well here, unless you sit with your decisions for as long as you want, making the choices all the more impactful, less panicked, and if something happens in the story you don't like, make you feel out of guilt for not thinking about it when you're in the safety to do so. It's very psychologically screwy, and it's pretty cool with how it accomplishes what it does. This does mean that apart from one or two places, you can't really make mistakes as it were, but it's sacrificed for the sake of keeping the story consistent with your choices and your choices alone. I also love the little details such as getting a message in class, opening your phone to try and read it since it's a pause button and you think it would pause the game to read it, only to then be told to put the phone away by your teacher. And things like talking to someone, trying to get info out of them or strengthen your friendship with them, but in order to do that you need to be stupid so everything gets explained to you, then you can rewind time and use your new knowledge that you just got of what the characters were just talking about to your advantage. Another theme of the story that is thrown back at you for literally abusing your powers for a shortcut to your selfish ends. I tell you, when the ending happens, it throws some pretty awesome concepts at you for both the plot and the general game, and I especially love how even though the psychos and villains get revealed the closer the mystery is to getting solved, at the end of the game, time and fate are the worst enemies the player ever fights, and it forces you through so many difficult and dark situations only to throw a depressing and crushing choice and realization over the point of the game and the choices you made right at the end, which I won't spoil, but Christ, it's pretty sad. I even went on YouTube and saw what would happen if I made the other endgame choice to compare endings, and honestly, I found it smart how the one that lets you keep everything you've worked up until that point is hugely unsatisfying, while the one that makes you throw it all away is way more depressing in my opinion, but ultimately the best ending since it ties in with the themes of the game perfectly. And it's just a way better ending overall. It's incredibly clever. My biggest problem with how this smart shit is all delivered though is in its writing. The game is set in 2013, and yet by some of the dialogue you never have fucking guessed that. I swear that a lot of the time it feels like it was written by old men desperate to try and stay relevant and not knowing what teenagers talk like, because some of the slang used in this game is just laughably cringy, unrealistic, and honestly extremely distracting. I'd understand if there was that one kid that spoke like that and yet nobody liked them because they spoke like that, but no, most of the characters talk with stupid dated slang terms and say it in the most unnatural and disjointed way that I can't help but not take it seriously a lot of the time. And this isn't helped by some scenes with overly sappy and overly dragged on emotional moments that honestly speak perfectly enough for themselves, and yet for some reason the game thinks it needs to continuously hammer in awkward talk for extended periods of time to make you think every damn character's in love with each other. And some characters go through pointless tonal shifts, especially Max's best friend Chloe, who for no reason at all be unbelievably pissed off with you for 1 second from a particular choice in a dialogue tree, but then in the next sentence completely forgets you ever upset her and carries on like nothing happened. That last example is very rare and a nitpick to be honest, but it's still distracting when it does happen, much like some of the textures being detailed and others being awful. It's just inconsistent and it sucked me out of many scenes because of that. Overall though, I'm very happy I played Life is Strange, and with its low price on PS4 and PC for every episode, I'd definitely recommend it. It does a lot uniquely, it has plenty of great moments, memorable plot threads, likable and hateable characters, lots of feels, mystery and even suspense for a game set in a school. And if you're a fan of this style of game and want something a little bit more out of the box to play, give it a look for definite. It'll definitely make you stop and think, if only for the really clever way the narrative progression and the idea of choice is tackled in video gaming as a whole.
I'm gonna give this game a 7 out of fucking 10. Q.